Hi, greetings everyone. Welcome to our weekly Saturday night chat with Dobbs. And every week, for those of you new here, every week we update you on what's going on in Dobbs, if there are new events and things to catch up on or news, worthy items. We will sort of highlight these to you in our weekly Saturday night videos. Today we're going to do something a little different because I've got an interesting guest with me, and I'd like to bring to the stage Anthony Cahill. Hi, Anthony.
Hi, Alan. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks for coming on board. And I think some of the Dobbers might have, been aware of the events, the educational content being produced by iheed, but may not know very much about, more details.
Yeah.
So I think here's an option. Anthony, just a brief introduction. Anthony is the director of global business and operations at iheed. Did I get it right?
Partnerships, global partnerships.
Global partnerships, yeah. And he's currently based in Dubai, so that's about 4 hours.
4 hours behind, yeah.
Behind us, yeah. So maybe Anthony, I'll just leave you to take over, and maybe you want to introduce what you do, what iheed is about, and what are the upcoming programs as far as medical education. It's medical education with a difference. It's actually accredited medical education.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead and tell us what it's all about. Yeah.
Great. Will do. Well, firstly, thanks very much, Alan, for having us on, and it's great to connect with the Dobbers on your Saturday live show. So I suppose iheed, for those who don't know, we're an online medical education organization. So effectively, we provide postgraduate qualifications mainly to physicians and to other health professionals. We were founded by a family doctor, and really, I suppose the reason for this session is that we do have a number of new programs for this year and that we've launched specific to support physicians in Malaysia, which I'd love to be able to brief you on. I suppose what's different about iheed, I suppose, is as a medical education organization, we partner with medical universities globally and postgraduate training bodies, but we design and develop these programs and deliver them online. So really, I suppose what you get is the full international accreditation, but you get programs which are very much designed really to be delivered online. So I appreciate, during COVID and this difficult period, that lots of, universities and providers are pushing their programs online. iheed has been fully online for the last 6 years. All of our programs and the investment of those programs are to be, I suppose, delivered online. What I'd like to do tonight, and I'll introduce myself as well, is talk to you about 3 programs specifically, which I think are of high interest in Malaysia. One is a master's in diabetes care, and we do have some places left for an intake in the end of May, so commencing the end of May. I'll also talk about a professional diploma in pediatrics by the Royal College of Physicians in Ireland. That's also commencing in May. And then finally, we have a new program, which is a master's in medical education, and that's launching in June. So they're the 3 programs, and I'll share my screen and just talk you through those programs just for a few moments, give you some of the background. In terms of my own positioning, I suppose it's important to say I have hopefully met some of the Dobbers. I've spent the last 4 years traveling into Malaysia and across the wider geography in Asia. We do have a project with the Ministry of Health in Malaysia on the Family Medicine National Training Program, the Ireland Malaysia Family Medicine Program. We also have a partnership with the Malaysian Medical Association, the MMA. So as part of that, I've traveled to Malaysia, with those projects over the last 2 or 3 years. I've also been to places like Sarawak, obviously Cahill, Penang, and met a lot of physicians. So great to meet those who I've interacted with before, and a very warm hello from me for everyone else. My own background, I'm not a physician. I don't have a medical background. As I said, I've previously worked with the Irish government, and I do a lot of government development work, with iheed, then I look after a lot of our partnerships and really support physicians across a number of markets to undertake these programs. So what I'll do, if it's okay, I'll just give you a very short overview of the flagship program, which is a Master's in Diabetes. So I'll just share my screen. Hopefully this works okay. So
share screen, yeah.
Yeah, so the application, oh yeah, okay, brilliant. Share. Okay, so can you see my screen, Alan?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Okay, fantastic. Okay, so I'll just go to full slide for a second. Okay, so as I mentioned, our programs are online and accredited medical education. This, I suppose, is a synopsis of our programs for this year. And the three, I suppose, that I'd really like to focus on today or this evening is the diabetes program you'll see in the front left. It's also the pediatrics program and then the medical education program in the center. The reason for this is that these are the programs which are open for enrollment for the next intakes, which will be in May and June. There are also programs that we've previously supported physicians in Malaysia. So we do have a number of graduates working across Malaysia who have completed this program as well. So we're very happy to put you in touch with other doctors and to share their experiences. I think that's very important. The two accrediting partners we work with for these programs, one I mentioned is the Royal College of Physicians in Ireland. The other one is the University of Warwick in the UK. So really, I suppose if you position iheed as the delivery vehicle for these programs, we have a global faculty, but really the accreditation and the recognition and the qualification comes from these universities themselves. And what's really important to say is that the recognition is at the same level and standard for any on-campus program that these providers offer. So from that point of view, you're getting international accreditation, but it's also locally endorsed as well. So the MMA, for example, would provide CPD hours for these programs. And also we have obviously support of the likes of Dobbs and the MMA in terms of support and promotion of the program. So that's really important. So as the last point, on these programs, we do also have some Malaysian faculty who teach on the program. And I suppose the benefit of that from your perspective is that they often bring in local clinical guidelines and local clinical settings in terms of the patient cases. So Dr. Lechman, who is based in the Ministry Hospital in Ipoh, he's one of the diabetes faculty on this program. So again, just to show that there's some local context to these qualifications as well. So these are the 6 programs, as I mentioned. I thought it was useful to give you a snapshot of this evening. Obviously, I don't want to go into too much detail because we take a lot of the time on this session, but I'm very happy to share the program links after through the network, both in terms of the brochures, the application links, and there's also upcoming what we call information webinar events. So there's one coming up on the 7th of April at 7 p.m. in Malaysia. It's a Wednesday, and that's an overview of the Diabetes Masters program by the faculty. We'll also have a session on medical education coming up at the end of April, and we share those links with you after the call. So if you are interested, you're very welcome to come along for free, join the sessions and hear more about the programs themselves. So what I'll do, I'm just going to jump in and share the diabetes specific presentation, if that's okay. So you can still see my screen?
Yes. It's blank at the moment.
Okay. It should.
I'll remove it and then maybe you reshare it again.
Okay. Yeah, well, that's not more.
Okay, so try again and share.
Okay, so share.
For just while you're sharing, just want to say that the links with the events, the upcoming briefings which Anthony was talking about, we've put them as links in the video description, both on Dobbs in Facebook and in the YouTube. We look at the video description, you can click on the links and you can at the end of the session. All right. Okay.
Great technology.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So I suppose the flagship program really is our Masters in Diabetes Care. And as I mentioned, we do have for the last 2 years, we've had this program successfully roll out in Malaysia. So we've had 2 cohorts of physicians in Malaysia do this program. It's fully accredited by the University of Warwick. As many of you know, they're a prestigious UK university, ranked in the top 10 in the UK. They've supported over 14,000 health professionals globally in terms of education, training and research. So very prestigious qualification that comes with the program. It's a 12 months, so you have two options. One is a 12 months postgraduate diploma. The other option then, if you want to progress to do your master's with your special research project, is to do it at around 22 months total duration. So it just gives you an option. So if you wish to come in and do the 12 months and exit with your postgraduate diploma, which many of our physicians in Malaysia have, or you can continue on to do your master's. As I said, it is fully recognised by the University of Warwick. We do have some international faculty, including in Malaysia, which I've mentioned, which I'll allude into now. So some of these faces may be familiar, and indeed some people at this session may even be on the program. So again, a warm welcome to our current students, which I know some of this information will be quite relevant to you. So Dr. Colin Kenny is a program lead, and we do have Dr. Lechman in Malaysia, and then you'll see, it's not just UK faculty. We have faculty from the Middle East, from Australia, from Malaysia. And really the benefit of this program, therefore, is that it's not just faculty from a university, it's the support of the university, but it's a global faculty. So a lot of local or, latest updates come to play with these programs as well. So that's what we're particularly, I suppose, excited about as an organization. Practically speaking, our postgraduate diploma and master's program, they do break up and they are a commitment. And I think it's important to, I suppose, outline what that means typically for you, should you wish to undertake this program, particularly given that I know the majority of you are running very busy clinics, sometimes 2 shifts a day. I know the ministry clinics are very busy in the hospitals, and also the private GPs and those in hospitals across the country, particularly with COVID and the measures in place at the moment. So really, I suppose the point of our programs is that we want to design programs which fit your busy lifestyles in terms of your clinical commitments, your family commitments, your travel, etc. So we developed this program to be really flexible in how it's delivered, but there are some academic components which are important, of course. So from our perspective, you're looking at a personal commitment of somewhere between 10 to 15 hours per week. So for some people, they might do a couple of hours per night, or maybe allocate 2 evenings a week and just get through the content. We do a very sensible structure to the program. So there's a reading week, and there's a kind of a break during the year in the summertime. And for those, for example, I know there's religious holidays in Malaysia, so we do have some breaks around Ramadan and times like that. And we also have small groups. So even though it's a global program, I think it's very important that you feel that you're not either studying on your own, but also that you're not in this massive global group. So we tend to have cohorts size around 20 to 25. And what that means is that you get to interact and really know your colleagues well. So you set up WhatsApp groups perhaps, or you come online on the weekly online tutorials and really get to know each other quite well. So I think that's important in terms of the impact of the program and your experience to undertake that. For the diabetes program, then we look, what the curriculum is based on the IDF, and we do have, core principles of diabetes. We look at treatment options, and we look at self-management. So things like motivational interviewing, supporting the patient to take, I suppose, take action and take control and take ownership for disease, given the ever-changing and complex condition that chronic diseases impact on patients. So really, we look at, I suppose, latest evidence, and the program is always updated. So that's the point of being able to bring in local literature and international best practice as well. As you move then to the second semester, so the second half of the year, we get into the inevitable complications in diabetes. So obviously we look at things like, foot care, nephropathy. We look at, hypertension. We look at some of the more acute and severe conditions within diabetes, which you yourselves as physicians would see in terms of your patient load and in terms of referral pathways and be able to support them. So we look at that in great detail. And I suppose the objective there is not so much to say that here's theory or here's best practice. It's really to be able to, I suppose, come together as a group and say, well, what is the best way to support patients in terms of better management of diabetes? What are the new modalities and treatment options? What's the new medications? Is the medications available? What are the pricings? What are the issues and concerns in Malaysia in terms of maybe adherence to medication or other conditions, or special situations? So it's really, the weekly tutorials are very engaging. There's lots of debate. And it's really, it's peer-to-peer and it's facilitated, but it's a great opportunity, I suppose, to instill a lot of strategic change and structure of care as well into the program. Then, for those who do wish to do a master's, I think for Malaysia, we do have a couple of physicians who are now doing masters who are progressed onto after the PG dip. So you do a special project. So you'll see here, it's over 24 weeks. You have the support of a supervisor, and really we want to support those coming off the program with a real tangible output to, I suppose, to show evidence and to look at maybe a conference presentation or a poster submission. So again, it's looking at the methodology of your special research project, and you have the support of the faculty, but also as a supervisor to work with you on that special project as well. So that date is November, is obviously last year. So in this case, it's the end of May. So it's the end of May 2021 is the orientation for this particular intake. And how it works essentially, and I have alluded to this, is that there's weekly live online tutorials for 1 hour. So that would typically be maybe on a Thursday evening in Malaysia around 7 p.m. Sometimes it's on a Friday. We try to pick a time that's quite flexible for the group. So for that 1 hour, it's like this. It's a live interaction with the tutors and with your group. But thereafter, throughout the week, there's a lot of self-paced content. There's reading materials. There's discussions that you can interact with at a time that best suits you. So we try to make sure that the content is digestible, but available 24/7. So it's very flexible, as I said, in terms of how it's delivered. There are end of module assessments and then a online exam at the end of semester 1 and semester 2, which is fully proctored and managed online. And we obviously have the oversight of the university to the examination process as well. Here's, I suppose, just some snapshots of the look and feel of the program. As you'll see, it's very engaging content, very realistic patient case scenarios, evidence-based, looking at really, I suppose, latest treatments and really getting into the detail of typical patient case that you would see in your clinic or hospital setting. And we have embedded videos from key opinion leaders globally as well, just to give it some, to make it more interactive, but also easy to digest the information as well. Here's an example of the weekly live tutorials. So you'll see there's people coming on from different countries. You get very familiar with each other. There's a WhatsApp group for the group as well. So I suppose my summary point on this is that unlike other distance learning programs, we try to sense kind of a sense of team, and you educate and you learn together as a peer group, and that's something that will really stand to you as you, I suppose, look at the impact of the program on your care for your patients as well. We look at impact, so obviously things like pre and post assessments coming onto the program, confidence levels in terms of prescribing, managing patient cases, managing different treatment options, complications. So we're there, I suppose, to support, but this slide just shows the impact of the program, and that's something that we're obviously very proud of as well. Some feedback again. So obviously in your context, some of the Dobbers would be, managing busy clinics. I know some of you may have your own clinics, some of you are working in hospital settings. So for you, you're probably thinking about, well, what's the impact for me? So obviously in terms of patient care, being able to see more patients in diabetes, being able to deliver better care for your patients and see better outcomes and impact is a key, I suppose, driver and objective for us to support you on these programs. Just in the conscious of time, so I'll move relatively quickly through this, but obviously to say that I'm based in the Middle East, but we have a full team of support in terms of the university, but also the iheed team as well. So we have a student advisory team, we have the mentor team, we have the academic affairs team. So we monitor a lot of the activity. So if a doctor, for example, is very busy and they're based up in maybe in Cahill, but they're busy in their clinic and they haven't been able to join some of the weekly sessions, or they're falling behind. We tend to be able to see that given the data we have on the online platform, and we proactively reach out to offer that support. And I think that's what's different about this program. The level of support is there to really ensure that you have the best possible experience. Entry requirements. So for this particular program in diabetes, we do look for a medical related degree, which you would upload with your simple online application. There's a personal statement, which is just a motivation as to why you'd like to do the program, which is put forward with your application. There's a reference letter, typically from your employer, to say that you're in good standing, and photo ID to verify you are who you say you are. I suppose we do have some places left in May for this next intake in diabetes. Obviously, in terms of the fees, probably the biggest question a lot of you have. So I'll break it down for you very simply in terms of the postgraduate diploma fee and then the master's fee. So for the PG DIP fee, you'll see the program is in euro, but I've included the Malaysian ringgits just for your own local reference. So the cost, we do have a Malaysian bursary, which brings down the fees in Malaysia, given the level of partnerships that we have in place. So we're delighted to provide that really, and it's also a recognition of, in terms of affordability of the program, we want to ensure that physicians and other health professionals are able to join the program. So we do have the full program fees for you would be €5,000 for the 12 months, which will be around 23,000 ringgits. Should you wish to complete that fully to masters, that total price will be 9,500. So an additional 4,500 is the master's element of the program. On the bottom of the screen, you'll see a payment breakdown. So we tend to facilitate monthly or semester payments to enable you to phase the payments effectively over the duration. So I hope that's clear. I'm very happy to take any questions, or we'll share this information in terms of the fees after the presentation. The experience, so like this program itself, I think it was launched in 2016. It's in Malaysia since 2018. So we've had a couple of cohorts do the program now. As I said, the intake in May will be followed by a further intake of this program in November of 2021. So 2 intakes per year. And we do have some places in May for those of you who are interested to join now. I suppose the student success rates, pass rates, etc., the engagement levels are quite strong. And that's a testament to what I mentioned in terms of how this program is delivered. iheed is quite different. We're not a university. So we design, develop, and deliver the program in a way that best suits working health professionals. And that's what's different. We focus on the impact of the program, but also the delivery style to ensure you get through the program in a way that's quite flexible, but also with the exact same international accreditation that you would get for any on-campus program internationally as well. So in summary, you have the 12 months or the 22 months for the masters, and the next intake, as I mentioned, is in May. It's fully recognised and accredited by the University of Warwick in the UK, which is one of the top UK and international universities and medical schools. And we have local support and endorsement from the likes of the MMA, obviously from Dobbs and from the ministry, which gives the program some local nuances and local faculty as well. It's challenging, it's interactive, it's engaging, but it is fun. And I think that's really the point I'd say with this program, that we want you to feel that it's something that you're able to undertake while no doubt your clinic time is extremely busy at the moment. So what I'll do, that's the diabetes program, and that's the flagship program, if you like, in terms of the offering for this year. It's also the same model. So what you've seen there in terms of how the program is delivered, that will be mapped out onto each of our programs. So it gives you a good template in terms of the other programs, which I'll mention now. I suppose the other thing to say on this program, we will share a link after this to a upcoming webinar briefing. So rather than listen to me, on the 7th of April at 7 p.m. in Malaysia, we'll do a further information webinar directly with the faculty on this program. And we'll also invite some of the physicians in Malaysia who are currently on the program to share their experience. So that's an hour free webinar briefing to talk about this program. So for those of you who are interested to join for May or for November, I would highly recommend you click and register that link to the upcoming webinar. So I'll stop there, Alan, if that's okay, and I'll stop the screen share. So if there's any questions.
Yeah, great overview, Anthony. I think maybe to those who haven't actually joined the webinar, at least now, folks who are looking after patients with diabetes and want to improve their skills and knowledge, here's a chance, okay? And on top of that, get a diploma after a year of engaging learning. It's not just what your lectures, didactic lectures, but actually it's interesting. Everything is online, but you've got tutorials and you've got discussion and everything. Even the masters is completely online, isn't it?
Yeah, so for the masters, the components are online, but you'll have the support of the supervisors. But it's delivered online, and it's a very individual project as well. So that's the kind of the same model of delivery.
So if you guys got any question for Anthony, feel free to ask. We just had a hello from Sam Peter Abraham. Hello, Sam.
Hi, Samuel.
Yeah. Okay. You've got some. Anyway, the actual webinar where we'll meet the people heading the program will be on Wednesday, the 7th of April. So the registration link for this webinar, which is free, is in the video description below. Okay. So if you're watching in Facebook, I've already linked it there. Take the first link, and that's an Eventbrite registration form. So that's for 7th of April. And then there's a few other links for further upcoming events and some brochures. So, but here you've got an opportunity to ask from the horse's mouth, so to speak, if you got any questions. But I think how many Malaysians roughly have participated in the programs thus far?
Yeah, it's a good question. So at the moment, we've had, there's probably about 60 physicians in Malaysia who've done across the two programs. So we have the diabetes program, which is the flagship, but we also have the pediatric short course. So we've had about 15 to complete this program as well. So can you see the pediatrics slides?
Yes, I've just shared them. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about the pediatrics?
Yeah. So following the diabetes program, the second program, then just very quickly to give you an overview. So the University of Warwick is the accreditor for the diabetes program. For the pediatrics program, then the accreditor is the Royal College of Physicians in Ireland. So the same delivery methodology, the same approach in terms of online, but obviously it's a fundamentally very different program. So this program is aimed at physicians, and particularly GPs, family physicians, maybe even emergency physicians, for example, but those not heavily into the specialty of pediatrics. So, the program is very much aimed to be a baseline for primary care in terms of child presentations that you would see in your clinical setting. So it's with the Royal College of Physicians. So I'll just very quickly, I'll skip the iheed part. So the Royal College of Physicians, as many of you know, are one of the oldest and most prestigious Royal Colleges globally. So they're the recognised paediatric specialty training body in Ireland, and they've partnered with iheed to develop what we call a professional diploma in pediatrics. So unlike the diabetes program, this is fundamentally different in the sense that it's delivered over 6 months. So it's a much shorter program. So I suppose it's a lighter program in terms of the academic side of it, which I'll run through now as well. So it's just a different offering that I wanted to mention to you today as well, or this evening. So in terms of the program, as I mentioned, so obviously you're very familiar with specialty training for physicians. So this looks at, I suppose, those who are either in practice as GPs or those maybe looking at the option. So for the young doctors, I know there's many SCOMO members and other young doctors who maybe recently got their qualifications as doctors. Maybe you're looking at pediatrics as a future career specialty. So this diploma would be, a short 6-month duration. So it's a great opportunity to get a deeper exposure to that specialty. So that's how I position it in many ways. In terms of the program, we look obviously at, acute care. We look at screening and developmental concerns and issues and presentations in terms of young children. We have the same online environment as I mentioned for diabetes, which I'll share now in terms of some examples. It's structured over 3 blocks over 22 weeks. So that's 6 months total duration. You'll see here, things like, history taken. We look at wheezing and asthma, development, child protection, and then we have a short online exam at the end of each block. So it's more continuous assessment for this particular diploma rather than the final examination, and which is the kind of longer assessment for the PG Dip and the Masters. Block 2, then we look at some common skin conditions. We look obviously at vaccinations, which I know is quite topical for lots of other reasons at the moment, and rightly so. We look at obviously sleep and other conditions that particularly young adults would present with. So it's really looking at a lot of the baseline complications that physicians would see, and being able to give them a lot of the latest and updated evidence to support their patients. So what I'll do, and they're the 3 weeks as I mentioned. A lot of the online content and the presentation will be similar in terms of how it's delivered. There are a couple of slight distinctions which I'll just allude to now. So there is that weekly tutorial which is the same. So for 1 hour you come together online. A lot of the online interaction is the same in terms of the content. However, unlike the diabetes program, the continuous assessment, as I mentioned, is done 3 times throughout the 6 months, and it's shorter. So it's typically online multiple choice questions, and you'd have 2 or 3 hours to complete it online, and there wouldn't be any final examination then. Just in terms of some of the, I don't know if you've seen, Alan, or any of the Dobbers, if you've seen some of the interactive content. What is particularly unique about iheed, and again, I know I've mentioned at the start, is the way the content is presented in a way that's it's easily digestible, be it from a smartphone, from your laptop. It's very much like the Netflix effect. So you can plug and play, you can stop it and come back later on. You can play the videos. You see a lot of the rich interactive imagery and videos and patient cases to make it very realistic. And we have scenarios in there, we have games, we have different assessments. We embed a lot of the reading materials and the reading lists in a way that's easily clickable, so that if you're on a particular topic, let's say in week 2, you can directly link to the third-party research that's available to support that module. And that's really important, because I know for lots of people, they feel, but I don't want to be clicking through the internet for hours on end. So we tend to include all of the content within the platform and to enable you to navigate it in a way that saves time as well. For those of you who want to know, obviously the assessment is a key component of it. You'll see here we do it over the 3 blocks, and we do it based on the formative assessments, and then the exam weight is there. Again, 40 to 60 minutes to do it online, and you'll have 2 attempts. So again, we'll cover this more in the information webinar on this particular program. The personal commitment, then, just to make the distinction between this and the other program I mentioned, and the big distinction, I suppose, in many ways, is the size of the program. So rather than 12 months or 22 months, you're doing this over 6 months, and also your weekly commitment will be a lot less. So for those interested in a professional diploma, you'd be probably looking at somewhere between 3 to 5 hours per week on average, interacting with the content and on the weekly tutorial. So just gives you some context of how it's delivered. The fees for this program, so I mentioned the €5,000 for the postgraduate diploma, €9,500 for the masters. For the postgraduate diploma, then the fees are set at $2,500 for this particular program. And there's a flexible payment plan, and you can pay that by installments as well, as outlined here. Student experience, again, very similar to the other programs. We're delighted to see the level of interest. As I mentioned at the start, we do have physicians in Malaysia doing both the diabetes and this pediatrics diploma online with us at the moment. So we're delighted to see that. And for those of you who are interested, we'd be very happy to put you in touch with some of those physicians to talk about their experiences. And obviously we're very proud to have them on the program as well. So in summary, it's 22 weeks, so 6 months. We do look at a range of common complications and looking at the latest evidence. So the program is delivered by a team of consultant pediatricians from the Royal College. And we look at obviously acute conditions, we look at common presentation screening and disability development and growth. So it's really, in many ways, it's that kind of baseline within pediatrics, but again, not focused on the specialty. So this wouldn't be applicable, for example, to pediatricians. It would be applicable to GPs who want to maybe have a deeper interest or exposure to peds as an area. So I hope that's clear. So I'll stop that particular presentation as well. And that really, there are the two programs, I suppose. So one was the diabetes and one was the pediatrics. We do have a couple of other programs coming up this year, including medical education, which will be launched in May. So again, Dr. I'll be very happy to share links to that, and there's an upcoming webinar later this month. So again, it's really, this evening's objective was really just to, I suppose, introduce iheed, introduce some of these programs, to share some links in terms of further information, but also to, I suppose, any questions you have in terms of, pricing, accreditation, the impact. There's normally lots of questions on programs. So I'm very happy to field any questions you have on the program, on iheed, or any aspect of our work in Malaysia.
Okay, thanks once again. I think so. There's not just diabetes. There's also a pediatric program for those of you interested in knowing more about looking after kids, especially those of you in GP practice. I've shared the screen there. That's the webinar on the 7th of April, 7 p.m. And the registration link is actually in the video description below. Okay, so it's a free webinar to learn even more details. I mean, Anthony, you've actually given this quite good coverage, and I think people watching will have some idea what's in store. But do you have any questions for Anthony while we have him here? Please feel free to ask. Don't be shy. The cost is an issue. There is a subsidy for the diabetes program, but it's still quite a big chunk of change, I must say. So
no, I fully appreciate that. And it's a big, it's a big consideration. Any, I suppose, opportunity to invest your own time and money and to upskill in the qualification, it's a big decision for sure. But I would say, obviously, Malaysia and some of the countries, some other countries in Asia and Africa, we provided that additional bursary, which we hope in some way makes the program a bit more affordable. But absolutely, I fully appreciate it's still a big commitment. And we're working all the time in Malaysia. So I've personally met with some of the industry bodies there. I've tried to understand, for example, student loan organizations. I know some of them, there's some national funding and loan institutions. I've spoken to industry as well in terms of looking at other grants. But I do think that kind of works both ways, so that if you see the program fees and if you really want to apply, I would certainly encourage you in parallel, if you are aware of funding supports, to seek them out. And certainly we're here to support you if you want a letter to outline the program as part of that as well. So, there might be student financing, there might be student loans, and I know there might be grant support from industry as well. So again, you're absolutely right. It's always a big consideration. But I would say, though, on the program, the fact that we have local faculty in Malaysia, the fact that we have local partnerships with the ministry and the MMA and yourselves, it's a program that it does stand up in its merits in terms of the impact and the success we've had, mainly because of how it's delivered. So you get your full accreditation from what is, one of the global leaders in diabetes education in the University of Warwick. But it's also delivered in a way that's highly flexible. So you don't need to travel for your exams or to undertake any of this work. You don't need, in theory, you don't need to take clinical time out. So for many of you, I know you're probably managing your own clinics in many cases, and time just isn't something that you have a lot of. So in that context, we like to feel that it's a chance to upskill in a way that's sustainable, but absolutely, at the end of the day, program pricing will always be there. So I wanted to ensure that you had that full detail during this session.
And they can sort of pay for it in installments?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, I suppose the firm next step for those who are interested, assuming you get the links, etc. If you're interested to join in May, there's an online application, but there's also a deposit link. So to secure your place, you would need to make a deposit payment of €500, and that would just hold your place and while place is remaining. Then the balance can be settled, and we have like a 10 monthly payment plan. So once you join the program, you'll be given the full orientation, the welcome pack. You'll be given a payment breakdown plan, so you can then settle your fees as you want to take the program in a very flexible way. So it's just a support in terms of affordability. I know for some it will be difficult to make, for example, the full semester one payment on commencement, because joining a new program and then having to pay quite large fees in parallel is quite difficult. So we introduced that payment plan last year in Malaysia, but also in the other countries as well.
Great. So there you have it. So it's not so painful. You don't have to pay it upfront. Any questions for Anthony before we don't want to take too much more of his time? Okay, so the links are to register for the webinar and upcoming events, and some brochures are in the video description below. Okay,
Yeah.
so feel free to click and sign up. Okay, the webinar is free. That's on the 7th of April, 7 p.m. So this is how you want to get this thing out to you quickly. For the trouble is Facebook and Telegram, and the information just flies very fast and people miss it. So even though we pin things at the top, but it's difficult because there's so much flowing in the social media. So I think
I can imagine.
Video. Yeah. So nothing better than a live video sometimes to catch people's attention. Okay.
Yeah, no, it's classic.
Yeah.
Well, look, thanks again for the opportunity. I really appreciate to meet you again, but also to interact with the Dobbers, and obviously to our current students and those potentially joining us. Very happy to meet you. Always available if you need any support and follow up. And for those of you who, for example, can't make that particular information event, the webinar, it is recorded, so we'll send it on to you by email. So if you still click and register to attend the event, even if you can't, we'll ensure that you get the program details once you're registered. So that's important. It's more flexibility as well. So thanks again, and look, hopefully meet some of you in Malaysia when things change.
Yeah. Thanks very much, Anthony. Must have you online again, and if there are any new updates and new programs or any changes, feel free to we'll reach out to you, or you reach out to us, and we'll get you on stage to talk more. Okay, so we'll wish you good night or good evening, and have a pleasant weekend. All right, thank you, Anthony.
Great. Thank you. Thanks,
okay. Yeah, I just want to brief the Dobbers who are still watching. Don't run away. I've got a little bit more to brief you guys about upcoming CPD. Okay. So that was Anthony Cahill of iheed, and you just had a brief overview of the postgraduate programs which iheed have. I just want to let you guys know about the upcoming CPD, so don't run away. Next week, Saturday, at 2 p.m., please join the cardiology team from SJMC when they are presenting their 8th grand rounds. Okay, I think those of you who have attended some of the grand rounds have found them very educational and informative. It's not just lectures, it's actually by case presentation and discussion. That's a practical way of learning. Okay, so the topic for next week, Saturday at 2 p.m. is management of coronary artery disease, to stent or not to stent. Okay, so please feel free to register. Now, where do you go to register? Let me highlight the link here. So you go to our Dobbs page, dobbs.my/sjmc-cpd, or you just go to dobbs.my, then you go to the menu at the top there, and then you click on you you just hover your mouse and then you follow the link to dobbs.my/sgmccpd. The registration for this event is open. We've emailed all those who have previously participated in this in our live CD, and you should have got the email. But by registering, we will be able to send you specific links to exactly how to watch the grand rounds. Okay, so just a reminder. Now, and another one thing I want to tell you guys is we've still got our telemedicine program in beta still open for registration. We want to invite all of you who are interested in telemedicine to enroll in our program, which is the platform is called VIP Care. So if you go to dobbs.my/VIP, then you can register. Participation for doctors in the VIP Care telemedicine is free. Okay, and we are going to hold regular workshops for all registrants who are eligible. Okay, and the workshops will teach you about telemedicine and how to use the platform. So if you're interested in learning how to engage your patients beyond the four walls of your clinic, please sign up with our unique VIP Care telemedicine platform. Okay, it's unique. It's different from other telemedicine platforms because only doctors can sign up, and only you can invite your patients. So it's not like anybody coming in and it's like a free for all. People contacting doctors they have not met before, etc. So it's only for doctors and a way for you to engage with your patients better. So I'll see you. Please sign up if you're interested in telemedicine, and those who are eligible, we will be able to invite you for our regular workshops. Okay. All right. So it's almost an hour now, 50 minutes. So we will wish you all have a good weekend. Next Wednesday, there's no live CPD, so it will be next Saturday instead. Okay. All right. Next Saturday, 2 p.m. Just a final reminder. Okay. So go to dobbs.my/sgmc-cpd and register for next week Saturday's CPD. Okay. So see you guys next Saturday, and good night.